Which parking only? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you again for tuning in. And as the pendulum said last week, I'm going to do a video this time about some of my favorite spiritual books. So I guess Deccan, my girlfriend's dog, is going to be in the shot. It's kind of one of those evenings where they're just little distractions, but it's okay. I imagine this is going to be an ongoing series because there are so many books that I could talk about that has impacted my life and has influenced my spiritual perspective and my journey. Got an itch there. Excuse me. We'll start off with 3 to 5 books that really impacted my spiritual journey since I was a young teenager. Can you be a young teenager? A teenager. What they did for me and why I think you should read them too. And a lot of these books are great because if you're not especially like spiritual, or if you don't like religion, or you're kind of really just, if you have a lot of resistance towards that stuff, I think these books are really great intros to kind of awaken your consciousness and challenge your perspective and deliver you the message without it being threatening or too harsh or upsetting. So the first book I want to talk about is The Alchemist by Paolo Coehlo. Alchemist is written by Paolo Coehlo, who's a Brazilian author, and it was originally published in Portuguese in, I believe, 1988. So a while ago, and it was translated to English and has become an international bestseller and has been translated into every language imaginable. It's about this young boy named Santiago who is a shepherd and is on this journey to find a treasure, and he meets this alchemist who helps him find his true self. And I think the reason why this book is so successful and the reason why people love it so much is because it really tunes you in and it somehow taps you into that internal part of you that's always looking for your true self. Through this character Santiago, Paolo really cleverly teaches you certain tools, kind of like the tools that I'm sharing with you guys here. Like, he shares with the readers through Santiago these tools on how to realize the true self. He teaches you how to notice things that you might consider as coincidences as something called synchronicity, right? When things are literally orchestrated by the universe to help you get closer to your true self. So it's the idea of these basic principles of some of you may have heard of called the law of attraction. So the idea of the law of attraction, which will probably something I dedicate a whole video to, and it's written as fiction, but according to Paolo, it is really connected to his own journey. And I would really recommend any book by Paolo Coehlo, and I believe there is actually a clever map on the order in which to read his books because they all kind of tackle on a different aspect of the self. But the main one being The Alchemist. I really recommend, if you're interested in becoming a magician in your life, to read The Alchemist. And I would say The Alchemist is just one of those really sweet and dear books that even if you're not interested in becoming a magician, I'd say read it. It's a really great companion book that helps you think about thoughtfully and critically and compassionately, like, what is your treasure? What is your purpose in life? What are your goals? Like, what are you trying to discover and accomplish in this one beautiful life that you have? Next book that I want to talk about is The Secret. Secret is a book that was published by Rhonda Byrne, and she is this Australian artist, author, coach person. I don't really know too much about her. I just know that she kind of introduced this idea of the secret to the world, and it became most popular actually through the documentary called The Secret, which you'll see like Michael Beckwith, and you'll see Rhonda herself, you'll see I forgot the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Anyway, a lot of kind of these like new age spiritual teachers that you might be familiar with or you may not be familiar with that are featured in this video that all talk about this thing called the law of attraction, which is the idea that everything that you think you attract into your life and everything that you have in your life is because you actually are this magnet of a being that invites these experiences in. The Secret is a good book. I'd probably, more so than book, it might be more appropriate to put it under the list of my favorite kind of documentaries / movies about spirituality, which will be another video. But if you have access to the book, you know, I would say read it. When I first read it and when I watched the documentary, my mind was freaking blown. Like, I was like, wow, like I really believe, something in me really knew that what they were talking about was true, and it made me feel powerful because it kind of showed me that I'm in control in a lot of ways of what I get from this life. Which kind of leads me to like my next book, and I actually have a hard copy of it. I wish I had the hard copy of The Alchemist. I think I lent it to a friend, or I gave it to a friend. I've had so many copies of The Alchemist over the years, and I've given away because I'm like, you need to read this, go read it, come back, let's talk about it. The next book I want to talk about is Ask and It Is Given. So Ask and It Is Given is a book written by Esther and Jerry Hicks, and it's a collection of lessons from Abraham. Oh gosh, this video is going to be interesting because I feel like the moment I open up one topic or one book, it's a series of so many things that needs to be addressed and talked about. All these things are so juicy, and there's just so much substance and so much depth and so much history and so much things to explain. Now Esther, just brief, short, what is that called? Shorthand? I'm gonna think about it probably after the video. But a shorthand version of who Esther is. Esther is this lovely woman who actually channels the consciousness of Abraham. So this woman literally can relax her mind into a state of meditation in which this consciousness that exists in the universe that calls themselves Abraham, it's a plural, even though it's, you know, Abraham, but they're a plural being or consciousness that uses Esther as a vessel to speak their truth. Okay, take that in. You know, read the book. Let's talk about it. You might think, oh my god, this is stupid, this is crazy, they're lying, this cannot be real. I went to go see Abraham in person. My really good friend Lydia, who I also mentioned in the last video. You guys need to meet Lydia one day. You will meet Lydia one day. She took me to go see them on my birthday a few years ago, and it was freaking magical. I don't even know. So before The Secret even came out and was a thing, actually Esther Hicks was really spreading the messages of the law of attraction for a really long time. I don't know how to explain how it works. I truly believe in it. Like I said, read the book and let's talk about it, or just read snippets of it, or listen to Abraham speak. There are so many YouTube videos of Abraham, and you can listen to what they're saying. Some people, the moment they hear Abraham speak through Esther, I think they come to like a peace. I feel that way personally. Some people may not resonate with it at all. Like everything, not everything will float everyone's boat. Ask and It Is Given, though, it is one of my favorite books. I've been slowly working through it for years now because just each piece and each thing is so dense, and I tend to kind of listen to more of the audio stuff anyhow. But again, this is about books, so let's stick to books. The next book I want to talk about is Eat, Pray, Love. Now, Eat, Pray, Love, I read this when I was 16 years old probably, and a girl that I went to high school with was reading the book, and I kind of like admired her from a distance, so I naturally went to go get the book myself. It was just one of those things that came into my life at a perfect time. So Eat, Pray, Love is about this white woman who decides that, you know, she doesn't like what's happening in her life, so goes off on this big adventure to go to Italy to eat, to India to pray, and to Bali to find love, or she finds love there. And she goes on this epic journey of just like self-discovery, just like having this like radical decision to just drop everything and decide to figure out what the hell it is that she really wants and who she really is. I love the book. It also turned into a movie with Julia Roberts, who starred in it. I think the movie did it justice, and I've been always a fan of Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the author and who the book is about, and she continues to just send out positive messages and be a role model of like being your most authentic self and being vulnerable. And I think it's a great spiritual book for anyone who doesn't really want to get woo-woo up in it, you know, who might want to be like witchy and can't quite fly on their broom yet, but they want to see kind of what's underneath. I think it's a really good book to read, of just self-discovery and taking risks, and yeah, I think it's a really good book. Next, I want to talk about the book The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. And this book, again, I read when I was a teenager and changed my whole life and my perspective. Basically, it is about, it's kind of like these guidelines and principles that they teach you about what Don shares with you about the ancient Mayans and what they live by, and kind of like the Aztec culture of things, and how there are 4 agreements to abide by in life to essentially kind of live the most fulfilling, fruitful, optimal life you can. The 4 agreements are as follows. 1. Be impeccable with your word. 2. Don't take anything personally. 3. Don't make assumptions. 4. Always do your best. Pretty easy, right? I mean, you would think so, but I can't. That's the thing. Everything about spirituality and making it practical is like remembering that it is practice. It's progress, not perfection. And these things are just guidelines, right? And it's not like if you don't do this, you're a bad person. If you don't do this, you go to hell. That's not the way I've ever understood spirituality or self-growth to be. And what I love too is that kind of just the books I've mentioned so far, none of them negate the other. Like for Eat, Pray, Love to exist, like the 4 agreements also can exist. They can coexist together. Like what this is teaching does not negate what this is teaching. If anything, a lot of these books are these like collaborative, recycled, repetitive truths that keep showing up as themes in all these books, right? Because I think they are touching upon something true about the human experience and what we go through, these experiences that can often be painful and triggering and uncomfortable and icky, you know. And what I love about these books, you know, whether it's like fiction or literally in the aisle of self-help, which I've read probably every book in self-help, but all these books really help you to just remind yourself of who you are and ground yourself in some place of truth that is telling you that you're okay, and then you can follow this path if you believe in it. And this is just another piece of this big universal puzzle on how to like be in this world. The next book I want to talk about is The Artist Way. The Artist Way is not only a book, but it's also like a workbook. Another book I'll mention too is The War of Art, which is, I would say, a good intro book if you're not quite ready to do The Artist Way yet. Because The Artist Way is this like 12-week series of doing step-by-step stuff to really find the artist within, and it is such a spiritual experience. I'm doing it right now. I've had the book for a few years now, but I'm finally getting to it. I guess I'm ready to do it now. But before I did all that, I read The War of Art, and it has these like little nice snippets of things to remember. I really love the idea, and it's like a Baha'i teaching. I feel like I need to explain what these things are, and I'm like, oh no, I just opened up another can of worms. Long story short, Baha'i is a religion. We'll talk about that in another video. But the Baha'i religion says that creativity is spiritual, essentially, and when you're making art and when you're being creative, it's like the most beautiful prayer you can make. A lot of the stuff that I tend to be attracted to is like, how do I lift the blocks of my creativity? Let's see. This chapter, this little piece is called Resistance and Procrastination. This is from The War of Art, not The Artist Way. I know I'm jumping around a lot. Procrastination is the most common manifestation of resistance because it's the easiest to rationalize. We don't tell ourselves, I'm never going to write my symphony. Instead, we say, I'm going to write my symphony. I'm just going to start tomorrow. And that is a story of my life. Just kidding. I think it's one of the hardest things a lot of people in life have a hard time. It's like we don't know how to get into action and to start right now, right? That's kind of the hardest thing to do, to start right now. And not just starting, but like sustaining what you've started, right? Just keep going no matter what. I think in all of the spiritual work, the biggest thing is resistance. Like we're resisting to feel something, we're resisting to see something, we're resistant to showing something or telling something, to to being honest. We're resisting, and it's just like this like palpable force that's constantly just like pushing against our hearts and our mind. And the reason why I do the work that I do, or I'm interested in the work that I do, and the reason why I'm doing any of this YouTube stuff to attract more people into doing this stuff, is because it isn't so important to unleash the stuff that is blocking ourselves to be our true selves. And trust me, there are a lot of things that are blocked. This is from experience. I don't want this video to drag on too long, because I have to remember that I can make more videos. I can make 1, 2, 3, 100 series of little book corners. But I want to end with this, because I think that a lot of people, when they think of spirituality, they think of having your crystal beads, they have like your wraps, and your, dressed in white, having, having candles lit, having crystal balls, having tarot cards, having candles lit, having spiritual flutes playing, all that is absolutely, ambiance is so important, and whatever works for you, great. I use all those things, absolutely. But the thing that I want to end on is this, because I feel like spirituality and is, for me, spirituality in so many ways just means connection to source, connection to other human beings, and having compassion for other people's experiences, for having compassion for other people's experiences and for your experience. And it can be as simple as just being in your car and reading a piece of poetry. And someone that actually grounds me in my spirituality is Mary Oliver and her poetry. And she writes about nature, right? And I definitely find God and spirit and source and connection in nature. I always have, and I love it so much. And I believe I'm personally connected to her poetry because she writes about nature in this way that only I think a magician could do. Like, she's tuned in, tapped into something to be able to write the way she does. But I want to end on sharing with you guys one of my favorite pieces. What is that fucking poem called? See, I'm not impeccable with my words. Not to say cursing is not being impeccable, but I think there is something beautiful about not cursing. So this is Mary Oliver's The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. Who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? It gives me freaking chills every single time. So these books, these other videos that I made are all just tools to help you to figure that out, to help you through the journey of figuring out what it is that you're going to do with this one wild and precious life. And I'm on the journey with you. By doing this, I am absolutely on this journey with you. And the reason why I chose to share some poetry is because I think a lot of people who are skeptical, who have been hurt by spirituality or religion or anything, or just by human beings in general, and is traumatized by the world, I think we're often drawn to like poetry, and we're drawn to more alternative ways of connection. And I just want to say those are all valid ways, and I love it all. Again, if you like what you're hearing, seeing, viewing, experiencing, please subscribe below and comment and ask me questions and leave me feedback. I am all ears, all accepting. If you want to share with me some books that have impacted your life that you want to share with me about, and let me know what you're reading right now. I'm actually reading Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay right now, and it's just a book of essays by Roxane, and she's a brilliant writer, and she gets me thinking, and she gets me really pumped about how to be the best woman I can be. Thank you again for watching and tuning in, and like I promised in my last video, I want to end with an intention for you guys. So I think the theme in this video has been about like self-journey, self-discovering through books, right? And books are a collection of words on a piece of paper. And so my intention for you this week is to notice, just notice the things that are delivered to you through words, whether it's through verbal words, but maybe more specifically through the words that you see around you. What is the universe trying to show you? Are you seeing like bumper stickers that says love? I was driving the other day and I saw a bumper sticker that says prayer answers all, and it's exactly what I needed to hear, or see rather, and I was like, thank you, universe. And so just notice this week, what kind of messages are you receiving or attracting? My intention for you this week is awareness. Just notice what is being shown to you in these little subtle ways. And so I really wish you the awareness and the kind of curiosity in a lot of ways, just to notice and to be present for what's going on. And yeah, and I'm gonna do the same. Thank you again for watching. I love making these videos, and I cannot wait to make the next one. Not sure what it's gonna be about. Maybe I'll ask Pendulum, who knows. Anyway, I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.